Rent in this building at that time was about $480. The owner of this space was a former ex-mafia man. The discipline to be an artist requires you to keep working, keep experiencing different things, so it helps you to see things better. Page 18. Artist survives horrific trauma through her work. That's Rebecca Tribb.
Hey, Dora. All right, I'll see you soon. Hello!
Even though I attempted other jobs, it never worked out other than going back to doing artwork. So it's always been a part of me. And also it's storytelling, which is the other thing I like. My name is Devorah Kleiman. Or that's that term. I became interested in art too young. About 3 years old, I was always the one that would work with my hands drawing. My brothers and my sister were highly smart. I was considered the dumb one. Part of my father's giving was by learning by humor. He spoke German and was able to deal with, believe it or not, Nazis, and getting them to admit that they were Nazis. Yeah, my father was of that nature. And being able to speak German, which is a tough language, helped the so-called prisoners give true facts. Yeah, this is where I work. Recently, things that I see, it comes back with me. It's storytelling. Like in 1979 or 80, I was able to find a little studio apartment on the Upper East Side. And I worked for, at that time, there was an art supply store up there, making a living by doing that, designing fabric. That's how I survived, so to speak. Because even though things were hectic in this city, you learn things, you see things, you enjoy, good and bad, yeah. And then, of course, when I met my husband, that was great. It was me doing something I never thought I could do, which was, at 27, learning gymnastics. And at that place was also a man that I thought was an Italian, ended up being my husband, Robert Berman from Brooklyn. Oh, my favorite one.
Can you lean against the column?
Easily, I'm getting tired. Perfect. This kid would say, I don't know about art, but I believe in what you do. That was his nature. And with that, it drew me into a person that believed in me, would be supportive of me in more ways than one, like this building this loft you're in. He found it, not me. By coming to this particular building, it was over 1 year looking for a place to live of some kind so I could do my artwork. Of all things, a young man was standing outside the front door, all of 12 years old, wearing a mask. Robert looks at the kid for some reason and says, do you know of any space in this building? Yeah, the top floor, and you'll get a good price because it's cheap. And that's when we walked into this space, which was empty. Robert looked out the window over there, and saw the Empire State Building. He was a true New Yorker. He said, "We gotta have this place." The Empire State Building.
Wow.
Yeah, right. Well, for Robert, that was specifically like that. If I may, Robert felt, if I may, that I needed the space to do the artwork. Yeah. Not me. I was like, hmm? The building was mostly artists. Yes, mostly artists. It was good having other artists here. If I may, artists aren't really that close with one another, but helpful to one another. And that was good. Unfortunately, they started leaving. I'm one of the oldest tenants of this building. Me and a great artist, Larry Clark, him and me. When Robert left to sell his cookies, and he was a truck driver, I was left alone. Here I was in an empty space. These gorgeous poles were just wood. I did the poles in the copper and the gold because I knew how, yeah. I was crying, but I was doing it. Robert loved it when he came home and he said, "You did that with oh. He designed this space for the sake of the great lighting that's here, having a studio to work in, and for him, that's why, if I may, the bedroom is up there, so that he would leave early in the morning to do his cookie work in good old Brooklyn. But how he did this, I don't know, but he did. He enjoyed being able to do that, which he had learned from his grandfather, yeah. Robert did a drawing of the space, measured my height. Why? So that I'd have a kitchen. The kitchen was the last thing that he built in. Well, I store tons of work there, but it's upstairs. It's beautiful. See how Robert was thinking? You'll need this for storage. I thought he was crazy, but he's as crazy as a fox was. He was very good about writing things down, finding out whether it would be acceptable, yeah, and then get the approval of it, because Robert was concerned more than ever anything that I'd still be able to be living here. This is when he became sick, so that man died at 32 years old. Well, now we go into another story. Robert and I, after my father's birthday, literally about 5 minutes from where my parents live, out in Long Island, we get hit by a drunken driver. Robert had gotten hit so badly that even with the operation, they had to go back in to improve his heart. How he survived that was amazing. Nobody thought he could. Robert, a realist. He did, as did I. Unfortunately, the same hospital that helped us ended up giving him AIDS. Blunt AIDS, right? Robert wanted for me to see a blue angel. It was July 4th. We drove to Coney Island. There we are, looking up and seeing a blue angel. Unfortunately, at that point, he said to me, "I can't breathe." It was me driving him, not to just any hospital, but to the goddamn hospital that supposedly fixed us originally. They checked on him about age. They checked on me about age. The only time that I ever saw Robert cry was when he found out that I did not have AIDS. He had it, not me. That was the most atrocious day of my life. Yeah. AIDS is a rough one to live through, very rough. And alienated. You get very alienated from people. They put Robert in a closet. People knew what AIDS was, but they were petrified of him. Petrified. Falling apart at the seams. Me. Yeah. That was early on when things were happening with Robert and me, and how people interacted with us. That was a shock. Yeah, that's an early one. That was a bitch, except for the fact Sloan Kettering had a special place, gave him 2 extra years to live, and for Robert to finish this space. It was 1 week and then he died at, as I said to you, 32 years old. Page 18. Artist survives her horrific trauma through her work. It's Rebecca Trim. It was 2 years after Robert died that it was found out I had a skull-based tumor in my head. That's when the eyeball came out. Yeah. The neurosurgeon that saved my life, I showed him a picture that a local magazine wanted to know more about me. Here's this man that saved my life, and he went nuts when he saw this picture. This is amazing, Deborah. I can't believe you did this. This is amazing. I got not shy, but oh, come on, doctor, and look what you did for me. It was his response that he said, we all have gifts, Deborah. Use it. I think part of why I got involved with making things was a way of helping me to deal with the world and also enjoying it. If I didn't do my artwork, I wouldn't survive. I would not survive. My husband so much believed in what I was doing as an artist. That's what kept me going. Robert kept me going. Yeah, still does.
Thank you so much for watching the video. The best way to support me and the continued creation of these videos is to pre-order my photography book, Artist in Residence, at the link in the description. The book is my continued documentation of the last generation of artists living in these unique studios and lofts across New York City. Thank you so much for watching these videos. It really means a lot to me and to all of the artists that are featured in them.